Hello and welcome to this Unity tutorial. Today I'm going to solve some of the exercises which you have seen in the classes, which revolve around five core principles, five core assessment criteria which you have for your exam, which is controlling the movement of your game objects simultaneously or alone through a key. When I say alone, I mean controlling movement or rotation or position of an object from one place to another uh, through single key or multiple objects through single key. So this is controlling movement. Second one is instantiating or creating objects through single key, and then there is moving objects through scripts, which is also kind of like part of this controlling movement. Then destroying objects, destroying the targets or the target objects or the objects which are hitting the targets, both of them. So we learn how to do this and how to control the speed of moving objects. So these are five core criteria of your assessments which we will be actually looking at today in this tutorial. So as long as the exam is concerned, as far as the exam is concerned, you'll have objects created before, you'll be given objects in the exam, and you'll be required to apply scripts on them. So let's just quickly look at the first of these requirements. I will skip through these one because we have done this in the class, and they're not anything significant. And I'm starting off from scratch, from a new scene. So you don't have to actually remove any scripts from the previous screen, uh, from the previous scene, or remove any of the scripts or objects from the previous scene. So in your exam also, it will be a brand new fresh scene. All you need to do is to just import the objects and start working on them, start programming on them. And what you need to do is you have to find out what code to write and where to write and where to apply that script on. So this is something which you have to develop an expertise for in order to answer the questions in the exam. So let's first things first. Let's do this. Create a new scene, which I've done. File new scene, and I've created two objects over here. One is a cube, one is sphere. So now I'll similarly like this. I'll be giving you objects in your exam. So the next point says create and apply a script on the racket so that it can move around x and y axis according to 10 units per update. So it says there has to be a racket. So what I'll do is I'll give this guy a name called racket so that when we are following the exercise it makes more sense for us. And the sphere, I'll give it a name called ball. And on the racket I need to apply this script so that the racket can move along x and y axis. When you see this x and y axis, it means the right and left key is the x axis and the up and down key is the y axis. So you need to be moving this racket object along when the user has pressed the right, left, and top and bottom keys, up and down keys. So this is what you need to do. You should be immediately recognizing this. And secondly, once you've done this, you should make sure that the movement should not be just any movement. It should be at a specific speed, which is 10 units per update cycle. So let's look at how we can do this. You have to come to this place, your assets, and make sure you create a new folder for scripts so that it looks a little bit more organized. And then you create a new JavaScript because this is the uh, script we have actually learned in this course, JavaScript. And I'm actually creating bracket script over here and double click it to open it in MonoDevelop. So this is by default created, the start and update function. If you don't see this, maybe you will be looking at something like this. If your MonoDevelop starts and you don't get panic, just click on here. We'll come to your scene and then scripts, and then double click the racket script. Now you're inside. Now look at the requirement. What does it say? The requirement says create and apply a script on racket so that it can move around x and y axis. Now this is continuous movement. Now you've got two methods over here in every script by default, which start and updates. You write code in the start when you want to initialize something. If you want to throw something initially, for example, if you want to produce something or instantiate something initially in the beginning of the script, wherever it is, on whichever game object this is applied on, for example. But if you want to do something up continuously, as explained before, update function is a function which is called continuously during your game's execution. Then you have to place your code inside update. If you want something to happen continuously, or you don't know when it will happen, and whenever the user interacts with your program, then you want to respond appropriately. That's when you put your code in the update. So what you will do uh, for this requirement is you will make sure if the user has uh, pressed the right or left key or up and down key, and you will then transform dot you'll use the transform function, and then actually you can move this. So let's look at this, how we can do the movement. So the basic structure of transform dot translate, which is used for movement, is this transform dot. Notice the T initially is capital, and now it is this T in the beginning is small, and now this T is capital. So this is translate. So what this will do, it will actually move the object somewhere, as you guys know already, and it takes three parameters, which is x, y, and z axis. X, y, and z axis. Don't write x, y, and z like this. I'm just telling you for the purpose of explanation. There has to be some values in floating point numbers over here. So they can also be integer numbers. So like for example, if it says over here um, the question that it should be moving around x and y axis. So what we will do is that we'll write the x and y and z, take the x, y, and z axis values, and then we'll apply this over here. Now in this case we have to only move along x and y axis, so we'll not take z at all. What we will do is we'll take the values like this, int x is equal to so this is supposed to be var, not int, sorry. So int is coming from Java and C Sharp. So this var x and var y is what I'm supposed to calculate now, and then assign it inside the transform dot translate. How will I do this? It's input dot get axis, and I'll take horizontal over here, and similarly I will take input dot get axis, and I'll take vertical over here. So I'll apply the value of y for the vertical, and axis for x it should be horizontal. So now when this is done, I should get whatever the values the user has selected for x and whatever the values the user has selected for y. When I apply this over here in transform.translate, this will move the uh, target object wherever you want to move. So whichever game object this script will apply to, on that game object, um, whenever you press the right and left keys or up and down keys on the keyboard, that game object will actually start moving. So let's just test this. I'll save this now, Control S, and I'll then drag and drop this on the racket. So I've got this racket script here. I'll drag and drop this on the racket now. So yes, it's there, and when I play it now, it should now move here and there. So this is applied for the racket. Now this is supposed to be moving in x and y axis. Let's see what happens. If you come back now and notice over here, both x and y were actually set. What was 0 was your z axis, so we don't need to worry about that. And if I run this, you should see this is working along x, y, and z axis. So let's go back. One thing which may go wrong, I'd like to you guys to have a look at this. If you go to your project settings and your input, make sure your horizontal axis is mapped to x over here, and also the left and right buttons are actually uh, showing that this is the horizontal axis. So horizontal axis, left right buttons, and x axis. This is what you want to verify. And for vertical, down and up keys and y axis. So this is what you want to verify. Okay, so over here again, horizontal is x axis, and then vertical is y axis. So as long as this is done, you should have no problems in this movement, this basic movement. So now the next thing it asks is that it should not just be moving, it should be moving by 10 units per update. So per update cycle it should go 10 units. It's also very simple. You just multiply this amount by time dot delta time, multiply by 10, and you also do this over here, time dot delta time multiply by 10. And now when you do this, it will be rather more controllable when you look and run. So now once you've created this racket script, you just double click this and it will open in MonoDevelop. If it's not open in MonoDevelop, it's something like this, which you see my screen now, something like this. Then you don't need to worry, just click on this project, open the scene, open the scripts folder, and double click the racket scripts, and you should be looking at this. Now remember, the start function is only when you want to execute something once, and the update function is only when you want something to be executed repeatedly. So what I will be doing now is, to move this object, I need to define x and y, basically inside the transform dot translate. I have to define x, y, and z. So x, y, and z. In our case, we don't need z at all because this is only x and y according to what the question says. So x and y is something which I need to define now. Var x is equal to input dot get access, and this get access is not get button, it's not get key, it's access, and access can only be x, y, or z. So input dot get access, and in this case it can be only horizontal or vertical. So x is horizontal, so we got the value of whatever x was, and then var y is equal to same thing, input dot get access, and it will be vertical. So now what this code will do is, it will get the values of x and y, put this into transform dot translate x, y, 0, and then when you go back and test this for on your racket, then your racket should be able to move. So let's test this. First of all, let me do this. If I've not done this already, I'm not sure. So I'll give this racket the name racket, and I'll leave ball as ball. Racket script, I have to drag and drop this on the racket itself first of all, and then when I try play this, I should be able to do right, left, and up and down. So this apparently is not happening. Let's see what's the problem. Okay, I don't think I've saved it, so let's go back and press Ctrl S, save it, then you should get the save script over here. And then now when I try playing this, I should be able to move my racket now, right, left, up, down, which is x. This is the y axis, and this is the horizontal axis, which is the x axis. Now the next thing I want to do is, I want to control the speed of this. So it says, the question says, according to x and y axis according to 10 units per update. So what I will do is, you multiply this by 10, meaning first update, or every update it is actually multiplying itself by 10. So this is now basically 10 units per update, and then you do Control S, which is saving it, and then play it. So this is 10 units per update. This is how you can actually achieve this. Now this is 10 units per update. It's mentioned in the question. What is also of value to know at this stage is that if you multiply this by time dot delta time, both of these values, then this will be actually according to your system's second, per second of your system, how much displacement you want to see. So it will make more sense. So like now just save this, go back and try this again. You will see you are like in more control now. Yes. So it's like more controllable. It's not going out of my hands very easily, and this is what I've achieved. So now the same thing, the exactly same thing you can achieve by writing another code which you may have already seen. You've seen this code also, and the other code which you have seen is if input dot get access horizontal is greater than 0, meaning if it's supposed to be moved right, then you move right. So how will you move right? Transform dot translate, and if you want to move right, 5 0 0. If you want to move left, then write -5 0 0. So this is also how you can do for all horizontal and vertical entries. If it's greater than 0, +5, less than 0, -5. If it's vertical greater than 0, come here on Y, +5 or +10, whatever you want to change how much ever you want to change the position. Vertical less than 0, -5 or -10. So this is another way of doing the same thing. A better way of doing it is this which I've just shown to you. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is to create a script and apply on brackets so it can produce or instantiate new balls and throw it along y-axis with a force of 350. So you can do these changes in the existing script or create a new script also. So I would prefer creating a new script now. So I'll come here and create a new script, create new JavaScript, and I have it racket trigger or racket trigger script, meaning whenever you pull the trigger or you press a button to create the ball, what should it do? So it should first of all have a variable which you can actually change and assign. So let it open so that you can use the drag and drop features to assign which exactly is the rigid body or the game object which you like to create. First of all, so over here, let's get rid of this EAR, and then you will write ball game object. So this game object is something which I will be producing now. When I'll be producing in the racket, when the racket is actually clicking on the fire button. So to capture that event, I need to this mouse button on my mouse. So to do that, I will check in the update if input.get button down, and I'll check if fire button is pressed. Fire 1 is pressed. Then I would like to do something, and that something is I would like to instantiate now. Instantiate this ball, which I have created this as a variable from here, which I will be assigning from drag and drop, and then the position, transform dot position, and then transform dot rotation. Now let me explain to you why did I write this. You understood ball is the one which I'll assign to be created whenever a mouse button is clicked, and I'll assign this whole script on the racket. Okay, so this ball, when the mouse button is clicked, the racket will be producing this ball. That's all. So it will not be throwing it anywhere. It will just be producing at this position on the scene and at this rotation at the scene. So it will be, what will be its rotation, where will it be rotating? If it's not rotating, then it will not rotate. What will be its position? The current object, which is the racket on which you will be applying this, its position and its rotation it will take. This is what it is actually serving to achieve. Now you can do one more thing. You can create a new empty object and place it just near to the racket, and then create an object according to its position and transport and rotation also. That's also possible. This is the easier way. I am letting you know. It depends upon what the requirement is. So I'll instantiate a ball based on this. Whatever is drag and drop the object, and then transform the position, transform the rotation. So this should instantiate a new object. I should now save this. So make sure you save the script, go back on the racket trigger, and then copy and paste, just drag and paste this on the racket. When you do that, the racket will ask you which is the target. See this ball target, so you have to select a target over here. Now see, there is no target. The reason why there is no target is the ball is just a game object which I've created. I'd like to create it as a prefab. To create a prefab, just drag and drop this on your assets. Okay, not inside scripts, because scripts is exclusively for my programming. So ball should be dragged and dropped over here, and now you should see the ball is actually over here, and this is now converted to a prefab over here. So drag and drop this back, and you will see it is blue. The icon is blue. I'll get rid of the first one, and this when you see it is blue, it means it is prefab already. On this prefab, I will create a script and apply later on, but right now to complete this racket trigger script, I will come to the ball, click on this button, and I should be able to select this ball, which means whenever a button is clicked, this racket will be creating these balls. So the first part of the question says create a script and apply on racket so that it can produce instantiate new balls. So this is something which we have done. The second part says throw it along y-axis with the force of 350 F. Let's see how we can achieve this. First of all, let's test this now. So my movement is being done, and then I will click somewhere, and you'll see upon my clicks actually related to my position. When I say transform.rotation, transform.position, it means the position of the object you have applied this on is actually on that position. A new ball is being created. So this part we have done. The reason it is dropping down is that it's a rigid body and it has gravity. This racket is not a rigid body, it does not have gravity, so it is not dropping down. So I'll do this to fulfill this requirement, that throw it along y-axis with the force of 350 F. What I would like to do is I would come back to the script. So once I've instantiated, I'd like to throw it at about a speed of 350 F initially. So what I will do it now is, first of all, I will initiate this. I will declare this as a game object, and then new ball I will be instantiating. I'll get the reference over here, and then the new ball dot rigid body dot add force is what I want to do, and towards y I need to push this. This will be 350 F and then 0. So when I do this, it should push it towards the top, and it will be 350 F. So now let's run this after saving it, the program. So when I run this, I'm here, and now I'll press, it should push it up. The reason why it is not pushing it up is because this 3D object is actually producing the ball over here, somewhere over here, and when you try pushing it up, it does not push it because the racket comes, this comes in its way, so it's not going up. So what we can do whenever it is produced, we don't push it, we position it at the top. So how to do this is actually there is a difference between add force and position. Add force is you're throwing something somewhere towards the wall or against the wall, and positioning is you are placing something after the wall or behind the wall or somewhere, which is where there's a difference between positioning and add force. So that's what you need to understand. So whenever this is created, I'll have new ball dot position dot transform dot position dot y, and I'll increase it to somewhere around 1. So I'll increase to 1, y plus is equal to 1, yes, so that it goes up, and then I'll throw it. Let's do this for up to from 50 initially. Go back to the 2D mode, and then I'll play this, and then let's come down, and then I'll press a new one. Okay, so now this is working, you'll see. So I created a new ball and pushed it somewhere at the top. So 50, you can change it to 350 and make it on Y. Currently is also being kept at Y. So the third thing is remove all scripts from brick also and create a prefab from it. So let's create a brick and I'll create a prefab from it. I'll give it a name called brick and it should be something like a cube again, and I'll give it a name called brick. I'll drag and drop this over here, and then also I'll place it somewhere around. So let's just place the bracket 2 or 3 of these instances around. So I've got few of these brackets here. So the next thing I want to do is what this word the question says, place a few instances of the ball on the scene. I've done this. I've done the prefab also. When you drag and drop this over here, it became a prefab, and now when I'm producing its instances, that is like a charm, they're being produced. Create a script that when the ball hits the brick gets destroyed. Okay, to do this, we need to create a script and apply it on the brick so that it destroys itself. But before that, remember, this is something which I showed to you. um, Instead of doing all this, all you need to do is to instantiate. This is the second method I'm showing you of doing the fire and pushing up. The second method I'm showing you. So I'll just finish this off over here and comment the rest of the code so that you guys can actually have a look at this later on if you like to. I'll just select this and I'll say toggle line comments, and this should solve my problem. Just control save, and the next thing I want to do is to do this add force on a new script and apply it on the ball. So this is the other way of doing it. So I just want to show you both ways. I'm just going back on the previous topic which we've been discussing. On the script, I will create a new, and under this folder, a new JavaScript called ball script, and in the start of the script, when the script starts, I will then in this ball script write over here uh, the same thing, transform dot rigid body dot add force, and something similar, exactly same to what I did before, 0 and 350f. For the purpose of this demo, I'm doing this 50f only because we can see, oops, it has to be within the brackets. And you save this. Once you save this, go back to your scene and apply the script on the ball, actually on the ball. So this is the ball which I am producing. What happens is, when you click on the ball, only this in the start, it's not in the update. The reason why it's not in the update is because you don't want it to move every time. You don't want it to keep moving. You just want it to just give it a push in the start. That's all you want. Alright, so this is the other way of doing the same thing, so that you guys know. So since this is already happening there, I'm actually deleting or removing this ball script component right now from here, and I'm enabling that code back again because I need to keep things in one place. So I'll just leave this for you if you want to have a look at it later on. I'll enable this code over here so that it throws. The third thing is the brick should get destroyed. So let's go back and create the ball script. In the ball script, actually what we should be writing is the collision function. If you remember, there's a collision function which we have. Long as the destruction is concerned, I need to click the on collision enter function on collision enter, and this should be case sensitive. UL is our variable name which we decided, and then collision, and inside this only this destroy. And later on we'll do calculation inside this, calculation of score later on for your other project, for your final project. And destroy, this should be game object. G starting with small. So when this happens, the brick should be destroyed as long as this brick script is applied on the brick. So let's go back, click over here, go to the brick, and I'll try shoot some balls over it, and it should be destroying the brick. Okay, the next thing I want to do is to uh, hit the brick gets destroyed, and then remove this, that when the ball hits the brick, the ball gets destroyed. So now we need to destroy the ball. That's the next thing we want to do. So to destroy the ball, actually what we have to do is the ball only. So no need for this in the brick script. There is a need for this in the ball script. So if there's a ball over here, let's see which scripts it has already. It has a ball script, and I think it does nothing. Yeah, it does nothing. Now in the ball script, we will copy and paste that on collision enter function collision, and what we will do is we'll look at the call. So now what I've done is I've copied and pasted this both on the brick script and the ball script, and both of them should be destroying themselves upon collision. So we can go ahead and test this. What happens is uh, there's a game, the ball destroys itself upon collision with anything, and the ball destroys all the bricks upon collision with the bricks. The bricks also destroys itself. This is what this is about. Okay, so this is about the collision. Remove the script from 12 and modify the game such that when the ball hits the brick, both the balls. So this is what we have done. To do it on one, you have to, if you are asked to do this for ball, put that code on ball. If you are asked to do it for brick, then put the code, the destruction code, on the brick. If you are asked to do on both, then put them on the both scripts and apply on the relevant objects. Okay, so now once this happens, the last part is create and apply a script in the related object such that when the ball hits the brick, the ball gets destroyed and brick moves 25 points towards X. So now when this happens, you have to move the brick 25 points towards X. So doing this is also very simple. It says the ball gets destroyed, the brick moves to 25 points, which means that your ball over here has a script inside says destroy myself. This you have to leave intact, don't touch this. But the brick, it has to not destroy but move itself 25 points. So you remember, how do you actually move? It's through translate, or you can actually choose position. So let me show you how to do this through position. So what I'm doing is transform dot position dot x plus is equal to 25 or 5, whatever. So I need to see this in the screen, so I'm doing it 5. So you can do 25 or 30, whatever you're asked. So this will increase its current position through to by 5. So it says the brick should move 25 points towards X. So that's what I've done. I've increased, instead of 5 you can write 25, but just to view it in the screen I'm doing 5. So let's save this, make sure it is applied. This brick script is applied because we applied this before on the brick. Yes, and then what we need to do is just to test this. I hit a brick with the ball, and the brick is not destroyed. The ball is destroyed, the brick moves towards X. Look at this. Miriam. So this is the behavior I would want to work. This is now working for me, and hopefully this should solve your problem. So I will create a document to send this out to you, the syntax to explain how this works. So hopefully that should also help you. Thank you very much for watching.